My husband got these like lights that stick up like on your cabinets in the kitchen, and they change lights. He was like so excited about it.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
I think
why are you
every boy I know is obsessed with this like disco.
I think it's the coolest thing ever though when they have like I've been wanting to get the strips that go around the TV on the back of it.
That's what
where you turn it on and it like watches the screen, the light. I'm like, yo, that's
what
kind of sick.
Chad has. Like this
I want that.
Media center thing, and I'm like, do you think that people are impressed by this?
I'm impressed. Okay. I don't give a fuck about anyone else.
Boys just need
I
to
think
be.
It looks sick.
It's a
Men
boy
are
thing.
impressed by each other. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Lord.
Oh my
Lord.
Okay. You're good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Welcome to Weddings Uncensored, where we drink and talk and drink. I'm Kyle.
I'm Allie, and we are here breaking down the good, the bad, and the downright crazy of this whole wedding industry. Cheers.
Cheers.
Today, we have a special guest. Yeah. We're super excited to have Ariana Arnett from Cupid Content Co. That's like a tongue twister. That was a tongue twister, and I've only had one sip of champagne. Just wait. She is here to talk all about wedding content creation, which is basically like a newfangled fucking vendor category that we're all just figuring out.
Yeah.
Kyle and I are super excited to talk to you because we chatted a little bit on the phone, but I was like, I've done this for so long and I don't even know what you do or what this would look like. So I think for a lot of our listeners, obviously clients that are, planning their wedding and also vendor friends that listen to our podcast are going to be really excited to hear the whole shebang. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yay. So why don't you start with just kind of talking about how you got in the industry and how you started your company.
Yes, absolutely. So I started doing content probably a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago now. I mainly started working with fashion and lifestyle brands. And when I got engaged, I started planning my wedding on TikTok, as one does these days.
Yes.
It's not Pinterest anymore. It's just a TikTok collection that you make.
100%.
Okay.
All the inspo was from TikTok and Instagram. And so I was sharing all of my wedding planning, inspo and tips as a bride and all the things on Instagram and TikTok.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 29.
Okay. See, I'm curious about this, the Target TikTok bride demo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
As a 37-year-old woman, I feel like
Shut up.
No, but there's a huge
You're not
difference
old.
between a 37 and a 29-year-old.
Sure, there's a difference, but you're not old.
Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Okay, go on.
You're hip. Don't worry.
You said hip.
Oh my God, a 29-year-old said I'm hip. Oh, I love it. Okay.
So I was really planning my whole wedding, on social media, and I just kind of fell in love with all things weddings. And for my wedding, like I said, I was doing fashion and lifestyle content creation. And so I was and am a big content girly. Yeah. And I wanted content from my wedding. And I feel like wedding content creation was even a really new thing in March. It existed.
Yeah.
But I didn't even really know about it until kind of right before my wedding, and I couldn't get it together to hire a wedding content creator. And so I had a bridesmaid on quote unquote content duty.
Yeah.
And I kind of learned the hard way at my wedding that bridesmaids just don't have time to take content, and that's not their fault, but they don't have time. They're not with the couple for the majority of the day.
Yeah, true.
So
you think that they're going to be right there by your side, but they're not. And also God forbid she should go be able to have a drink and enjoy herself.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, you don't want to put your bridesmaids to work, even though usually they're happy to do it.
Yeah,
but you want them to have fun.
Yeah.
And so I kind of learned that the hard way, looking at my phone the next day, and there were 10, 15 photos and videos.
Yeah,
and again,
just not what you imagined in your brain. Yeah.
Totally. And so I reached out to all my wedding guests. I was like, did you get any iPhone photos and videos of the day? Because obviously, you're waiting a little bit for your professional photos and videos. And so I wanted to have, stuff to look back on and share on social media. And when you're relying on your guests for content, you're going to get a lot of super zoomed in photos of like your elbow at the ceremony.
Yeah, it's not good. Which is why we always tell people to do unplugged ceremonies because
but like it's tilted.
Yeah. Auntie, exactly. She got content, but it's not good.
Yeah. Exactly. You never know what you're gonna get. Yep. So, you know, I just realized throughout that whole process of like having to reach out to my guests and get all this content and it not really being, you know, what good. I was envisioning. Yeah. I was like, there has to be a better way, and there is a better way. By like
having a dedicated person to do it,
and hiring a professional. And so that was kind of how I started, and I just kind of realized like weddings and content are these two things that I love so much. Like, why not combine them into this business? And so I always tell my brides now when I work with people, like that's kind of the lens that I shoot all of my wedding content now as a content creator. And as a vendor is that like these are the wedding memories that I wish someone had documented for me in this way. And so I feel like that's really special for me. Like you will see me crying behind the iPhone at like every wedding that I shoot just because it's so special to be able to, you know, give people those memories in that way that I feel like I wish I had had.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's so interesting. I have so many questions. Like just like 5 new questions just came to my brain when you were talking. But thinking about like Kyle, what you would be capturing for like a highlight reel of a professional videographer versus someone who's focusing on a more behind the scenes moment, like it really is different, right? Like the content.
I'd say it's very different, but it's also very similar because I think now with phones being amazing, and I know the iPhone 15 Pro Max with doing like ProRes log and all this crazy stuff. I think it's obvious now of like you can have a really good camera, whether it's an iPhone or a Sony or a Canon or whatever it is, or a Red camera, right? You can have the nicest thing, but if you don't know how to use it, it's pointless.
That's true.
So auntie or any of the bridesmaids or the groomsmen can have the same exact iPhone 15 Pro that we have, but the content is not going to look good because they don't know how to use it.
That's a good point.
So I think the idea of having a content creator, one, selfishly, I was like, I want to be able to offer that as a videography service. But two is like, you still need someone that knows how to capture that. So there's still skill that is required from Cupid content and other content creators.
That's true.
To be able to create something that is still engaging.
Yeah.
It still captures the moment and it still looks aesthetically pleasing.
That's very true, because I feel like even me as a planner who knows what all those moments are probably more intimately than a lot of people still wouldn't like capture I'm just not that like savvy with that. 100%. I wouldn't be that good at it.
Yeah.
So
and it's no shade against anyone, even if you have the nicest camera. If you don't know how to use it, it really doesn't matter. And I shoot more on the candid style anyway for most of my films. I know a lot of other videography companies do more of like the production. Yeah. And I think that's probably where you're gonna see more and more of like, if you are hiring a videographer in time, obviously please hire me because I still want to capture your candid wedding. But I see it becoming more of like, if you really want candid, like honestly, just roam around with an iPhone on a gimbal, like a little handheld one, or don't. You know, it's that good now on a phone. Right. You know, so.
And how would you explain like what you offer different than what a videographer can offer?
Yes, it's such an important question because I always tell my couples I am not a replacement for your professional photographer or videographer, and please do not, consider me as such. Because I think that's a misconception. Couples are like, and some videographers are like, are content creators coming for my job? And I think that's a big misconception. So what I do is very much candid in the moment behind the scenes. So, obviously wedding content creation is very new. Every content creator is kind of going to have a different style, but for my style, everything is very like I'm really capturing what is happening. Like you're not going to see me posing the couple. You're not going to see me going up to the videographer, photographer, like, hey, can I just like
have my time?
A quick moment to have the couple do this thing. Unless the couple has like a post TikTok that they really
they're specifically asking for.
Right. Yeah. If that's important to them, of course, I'm here to make their wildest dreams come true. But, I'm really there to capture the behind the scenes. A lot of my shots like might have the photographer and videographer in them. Yeah. So it
feels
really
super candid that way.
Yes, I want it to feel
and it feels
candid,
more BTS.
Yes.
A little bit more behind the scenes. Obviously, I'm getting a mix. I'm getting a lot of shots that are,
no video team. Yeah.
But I always tell couples, I want your wedding content to just feel super authentic to who you guys are as a couple. So I'm not really going to be interfering with anything. And that includes what photo video are doing. And so I'm there with the media team throughout the day. I'm there with the couple, but I'm really just capturing what's happening. I'm not there to mess with anyone.
And step on people's toes because that has to be something that you've like encountered is like photo video team being like, fuck, now I have like, there's already beef between like photo and video a lot of times at weddings because they're trying to do the same thing. They're in each other's physical space. So now we've added another vendor into that same space. Yeah. And I'm sure you've had some like pushback or some issue.
For sure. I think that I know this is like very hotly debated with a lot of photographers and videographers about content creators. Some like it, some are not thrilled. And so I feel like that's a really big thing with Cupid Content Co. that I really emphasize is working together with the photo video team because I just feel like if content creators aren't able to work smoothly with the media team, then like we're not gonna content creation will be a trend and it'll fizzle out. And I think if we're able to work with vendors, then it'll be here to stay. And obviously that's what I want. Yeah. So that is like one of my main things that I really prioritize is, making sure that the media team feels comfortable with what I'm doing. I send them an email a week or two before the wedding, kind of introducing myself and being like, this is what it's like working with a content creator. Like maybe you haven't worked with a content creator before, or maybe you've heard bad things or you have questions. Like, that's okay. So I have this, little breakdown of like, this is what I do. This is what I don't do. I'm not there to pose the couple. I'm not there to get in your shot. I'm really there to capture what's candidly happening just in this way that's a little bit more tailored for like this social media world that we live in. So I feel like on the day of, they like have a pretty good idea already of what I'm doing. I don't want them to be surprised. And then on the day of, I'm like constantly communicating with them of like, for the big moments, are you okay with me being here? Maybe I'm going to be standing with their second or like maybe I'm going to be behind them. I always want to just be really respectful of their work.
And I think for the photo video teams that are working with not just yourself, but any content creators is I think we are hired by the couple. So get off your fucking high horse. It's not your wedding. It's not your day, It's their wedding. And if they're hiring and they have somebody for content creation, back the fuck off.
Exactly. Well, we talk about that a lot with vendors. Like it's just nobody gets to be the diva. Like we're all just there to make the client happy. And so if they hired you, you deserve to be there just as much as they do.
And everybody has a role. I would say, like, for the couples, you need to also be aware of if you're hiring a photographer and a videographer and a content creator. That's awesome. Just know you're probably going to get a little less product from each of those people.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I think it's going to require time for let's just say, not my style, but on the production, the highly produced videos where they need a lot of post stuff and they need a lot of direction and the drones flying around and you want to get a really cool shot. All those things take time. So if you want that and you want the editorial photographer that you are dreaming about, and you want a BTS, but you also want a TikTok video. All of that requires time. So that digs into the time on your actual wedding day. So just be aware, if you're hiring all those things, that's totally fine. But just expect less product from each of those people.
And just budget it into the day, budget that time into the day, knowing what that looks like.
And maybe it goes back to honing your vision of what we talked about, of like what's really important to you. What do you want to see from your wedding day? If you want to see a shit ton of BTS from a phone, dude, content creator, you have to have one. Period. Don't even think about it. If having a highlight video isn't really as important as having all the BTS footage from a phone from like someone recording from 10 hours the entire day, like little clips,
do that.
Don't hire a videographer if you don't have the budget for it, or if this is more of a priority.
For sure.
So it's just kind of playing a dance of like what vendors are most important to you, and what are you going to value, and
prioritizing
50 years from now,
prioritizing your vision, and also like I do think it's a responsibility of vendors to educate our couples and be like, this is like, if this is what you want, this is what that takes.
Yes.
Like you said, I mean, that drone shot, that fucking sweeping aisle shot, whatever all of those things are, like, it's also up to the vendors. And so it's great that you do that leading up and, you know, reach out and communicate, because that's what we all should be doing.
Yes,
We're all
100%.
playing on the same team, really.
Yeah.
So what are the other steps, like, pre-wedding? So someone's booked you, other than, you know, reaching out to photo, video, like, what are the kinds of communication and steps that you take pre-event?
Yes. So I always tell my couples throughout, you know, leading up to their wedding, if they see any wedding content inspo that they love, you know, save it, send it to me so I can kind of get an idea of like what you're loving, what your vision is. But I send them a pre-wedding questionnaire about a month before the wedding, with all the things similarly to, you know, what like a photographer would send out, you know, like, what are special details that you have planned?
The shot list, basically.
Totally. Yeah. And I don't do like a formal shot list, because really what I'm there to capture is what's
shouldn't be that
happening. So it's not necessarily a shot list, but it's kind of like the things that are mostly important for the couple to kind of prioritize in their edited content.
Right.
Because I do little recap videos of their day. I'll do little, you know, edited short form videos for them. So it's kind of for me to frame, you know, what are the things that are you really want to be able to look back on and remember most from your day.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll chat through the timeline, all of the things, and kind of create a custom content game plan for them. And I have a little pre-wedding call that we'll kind of walk through that questionnaire, so that they can get a really good sense of like, these are the things that are really important for me. I can get a good sense of like, you know, do they want full-length videos of their speeches? Do they want full-length videos of dances? Are there certain moments that are really important for them to or for me to capture? Yeah. So I can go into the day, you know, fully knowing what the game plan is. And yeah, so that's really, I kind of am able to like frame all the raw footage and the edited footage in that sense of like all the things that are a priority for the couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do the deliverables look like then that you're actually giving to clients? Because you said short form videos, but I was imagining you just like making a bunch of, you know, TikTok, like post TikToks and calling it a content.
Or just like recording a bunch of stuff and then airdropping it the next day.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think this looks different for every wedding content creator, but for me, I deliver all the raw content to them within 24 hours of their day. I usually like to do it as soon as possible. Having recently been a bride, I'm like, I know how exciting
I want to wake up the next morning and see it. Yeah.
Yes, I try to do it, you know, early that morning so they wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, here's all my wedding content. So all the raw content is delivered to them within 24 hours. And then I do edited content, and it depends on the package that they go with, how much edited content is included. For all my packages, it includes a like 2 to 3 minute recap of their day. So it's just, you know, a little montage of the whole day.
Yeah.
Similarly to what a videographer would do with that highlight reel, but, you know, obviously formatted for
portrait
and iPhone,
portrait mode.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I do a certain amount of short form videos, and I always tell couples this can look however feels authentic for you. So if that is a posed TikTok, great. Like, let's do the TikTok trend for you. If that is more of like a cute little montage of
but like a 15-second cutie getting ready or something like that.
Yeah, it's typically like under a minute for the short form videos. So, you know, maybe they want like a little ceremony highlight. Maybe they want like a little highlight of, you know, getting ready, reception, whatever it is. I would say, honestly, the majority of my couples kind of lean towards that more like montage style, documentary style. And that's like where my style is kind of a little bit more focused. Like I said, I am here to make my clients' wildest dreams come true. If they want to do that like trending TikTok transition, amazing. But I would say my style is much more like focused on the candid, the authentic, the little moments. So I would say that majority of my couples are kind of leaning towards that, just like the little montages.
Okay, cool. That's so.
Our couples would get along really well.
Well, because you go for a more candid look too, and that's like that's so important to know. I mean, it might be a good fit for someone who does have a more like produced, edited look.
Yes, 100%. Because then they're getting a balance between the two,
the candidy stuff and this like sweeping drone shot. kind of both.
Yeah.
And for some couples, like they really want the TikToks. Like that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's like why they hired
they
a
love
wedding
it.
content creator.
Yeah.
But and I think that's important. Like when you're looking at hiring a wedding content creator, like do they kind of specialize in those trending TikToks? Great, if that's what you're looking for. Do they kind of focus more on like that documentary candid style?
Yeah.
If that's what you're looking for, great.
Yeah. Are there other like questions that they should be asking if they're shopping around content creators, or like red flags, or like things that they should be looking for on their website? Like what are we looking at as we're shopping around? Because I feel like we have so many tips about shopping for other vendors, but I don't even know what I would look at.
That's such a good question. I definitely would say first, make sure that their style aligns with what you're looking for. Like, are you looking for the more posed TikTok style content? Are you looking for the more candid, in the moment, documentary aesthetic style content? Obviously, wedding content creation is very new, so I feel like everyone is kind of figuring it out niche for sure. So make sure their style aligns with what you're looking for. I think a big thing is, like we talked about, how are they working with your media team?
Yeah.
I definitely think when you're interviewing wedding content creators, that's a really great question to ask. Is how are you prepared to work with
we have a photographer and videographer. How do you get what you
How do you manage that?
Totally. Yeah. And I think another thing that's important to ask in that sense is, is the wedding content creator shooting on just an iPhone, or are they shooting on any other mediums? And is that a violation of your photographer videographer's contract?
Interesting.
So, if you have a wedding content creator who offers film as an add-on, amazing. Is that a violation of your photographer? Are they shooting film as well at your wedding?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to go through your contracts with your photographer and videographer and make sure that everything
or
is
even
good.
just ask them too.
Totally.
Like I would just
and where there's
like,
so much gray area with that, I guess. Like I actually had reached out to both of you recently for a client who is looking for like old school camcorder, like you imagine from like an 80s wedding where you're going around like, do you have something to say? And I think that that's such a cool idea, and it's like doesn't really fit in like with what you do, and you're like, that's not really my spot. Like it is interesting how there's all these niches, and whatever you're kind of looking for might have the right person, and you were able to refer me to somebody who does that. Like especially in Southern California, right? We're so lucky to have.
We got it all.
Like our lovely listeners in Kansas probably don't have as many options.
Poor Kansas.
But I think it's good to be like crystal clear on your vision, because you are going to be able to have your vision executed better if you are able to communicate that.
Yes.
Totally. In all aspects of wedding planning, but certainly with your photo and video teams too. So I hadn't even thought about that, about it being like a violation of you being like, hey, she's got a camera, I got a camera.
Yeah. No, I mean, at least for me, I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like,
yeah, but you're much more chill than a lot of photo video teams.
There's a lot of photographers, videographers that do care, and like it's kind of hotly debated.
Hence why I started out that conversation of like, get off your fucking high horse.
I agree.
Like,
I totally agree.
Like you're being paid to do a service. Don't get mad at the client because they want you to do it in a particular way. Like,
and
if you don't like it, you shouldn't have booked them.
Yeah. There is a lot of people that will have that, like, that's also a thing in florist contracts where, we're providing, like, if grandma brings some weird ass, like, arrangement for the welcome table, like, they will throw a hissy fit. Like, that's not allowed because it messes with their overall, like, aesthetic. So, like, from one perspective, I can understand of, like, you're an artist and you were hired to do this thing and it's your vision, but I also lean towards your side of like, who cares if grandma made an arrangement for the welcome table? It's a wedding, not like a photo.
I look at that and it'd be like, dude, look how special that is. Like I know you picked out all this, but like, dang, your grandma made this for you. This is kind of sick. You know? Grandma didn't do the whole thing, but this is a cool little memento. Versus being like, grandma fucking brought a fucking face over here and doesn't mess with my glass
It's crazy to think that is like some vendors are that serious about shit though. I've had a freaking cake vendor like yell at me before because we like changed the plan with where the cake was gonna go and she didn't like it, and I'm like, you brought a cake to a wedding. Like, what? Why are you yelling? Like, why is this a thing right now? It happens,
It should have been in your contract if you wanted your cake in a particular location.
But that's the thing. It is in people's contracts.
About a cake being in a particular location?
But I mean, like, I'm just using that as an example. Gotcha. People like do have that many like specifications. It's interesting, I guess. It's like,
I don't know. Maybe vendors just need to take a fucking chill pill.
Yes,
you
that
know?
is just
Honestly,
in general
you know?
true.
The couples too. They can take a chill pill. But I think the vendors should also take a chill pill and be like, if I feel like if something is really bothering you that much as a vendor and professionally, like if I were working a 9-to-5 job, if something's actually bothering me enough or bothering, my boss is bothering me, like it's your responsibility to voice if you don't like something, or if it is a breach of contract or whatever it is. But like ultimately, just get your job done.
Get over it. I know.
Yeah, get over it. Get your job done. Like if you don't like it, go to HR. You know.
Except for we have no HR in the wedding industry.
Your HR is the client. Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what you like. Just think about the wedding industry. Like you're relatively new to all of this.
Yes.
You got married.
You still have to tell us how you got into it too.
Well, she got married in March. Mm-hmm. Well, she said how she got into it. She
I'm looking for a particular story.
I know you are. But so like I think that happens a lot. And I got into the industry. I was doing corporate events before, but I got married and I was like, weddings are the shit. Like kind of same thing as you, right? Yeah. And I hear that story a lot with planners and other people who are like, oh, this is cool. But like then the day-to-day is a little bit different, and like working with different clients, like you planning your own wedding and having your own vision is one thing, but doing it with other people. So how's that experience been?
It has been so fun. I feel like I learn something new every day at every wedding. But I think that the wedding industry, there's a reason people fall in love with it. Obviously, it's so fun, but it's just like such a welcoming community and everyone is so supportive. So I love it in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said, planning your wedding is one thing, but then actually being a vendor is a very different thing.
Yeah.
So I think that, it's just being really respectful of like all the vendors that I work with and making sure it's a positive experience for everyone. And it's been amazing. Nice. I love it.
Yeah. Good.
Wouldn't have it any other way. I was in the corporate world before, and I will never go back.
Me neither.
Yeah,
I literally can't even.
Same.
I know. Can't fucking do that shit. Oh my god.
I feel like we're all jaded. Like we talk all kinds of shit, and she's like this fresh shiny face that's like, I love it. Everyone's
we're over here
so
like
nice.
Some videographers and photographers fucking hate this shit. And she's like, everyone's so welcoming.
I'm like, this cake vendor's a real cunt. Like she was like. What's the difference between someone who has been in the industry for 10 years
versus a little experienced?
I would agree. I mean, we talk all the time about how lucky we are and how grateful we are to be in this industry, and it is really, really wonderful. But yeah, it is like a bright and shiny deal.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So funny.
100%.
So, what is like the day look like for you? Like a day in the life of a content creator on a wedding day specifically. Like how long are you there for? Like, are there other details that people should be prepping for or asking about?
Yeah, good question. I would say typically I'm there for 8 hours is kind of standard, sometimes 10, sometimes couples add on from there. Typically I'm arriving sometime around getting ready, like very similar to, photographer, videographer. Okay. And obviously, capturing all the candid little moments of getting ready. And then pretty much all throughout the day, I'm really mainly with the couple, just like a photographer or videographer would. I'm really, following them around, capturing all the candid little moments. It is some back and forth with like capturing details and stuff. Like I'll bounce around to like, ceremony, cocktail, reception to capture the details. I typically like to do that sometime around like family photos is a really good time to capture like reception details, because a lot of people don't necessarily need like behind the scenes candid moments of like family, like pose family photos. Like it's kind of like
it's family photos, right? It's called photos for a reason.
Kyle hates the family photo. He's like, we don't need video of this. Trust me.
I don't mind them when I'm shooting photo.
Yeah.
When I'm doing video, I'm like, it's
just
fucking
not necessary.
Dumb. It's dumb because you're smiling for 0.5 seconds, and then you throw your RBF back on, and then you're like, all right, who's fucking next? It's
like step right up, like on to the next. Yeah, for sure. So that's a good time.
You know it.
So that's often that's a good time for me to like sneak off, like capture details and like little guest reactions, things like that. But I would say majority of the day I'm with the couple and just really capturing like all the little authentic moments of them, their family, friends. I would say I typically end sometime around like a little bit into reception dancing, like very similar with photo video. Yep. You don't necessarily need like 3 hours of drunk dancing content. I mean, if that's your priority, like, I'm here to make that happen for you. But
maybe then you can ask a bridesmaid to help with that part.
Yeah. That's when people take over.
That's when the phones can come out. Like, you might not need your content creator, again, unless it's a priority. Maybe you don't need them until like 12 a.m. So typically I'm there like a little bit through reception dancing. And then
I basically heard you say, please don't hire me. Please don't hire me to stay longer than like 30 minutes to an hour of reception dancing.
But you could still put together like a dance party reel.
Totally.
With like an hour.
5 minutes. You can do that in 5 minutes.
You don't need the whole shebang.
Yeah, I do. I would say one of my most popular like posed TikToks that I do is the sunglasses trend.
Yeah.
You know
I love that one.
Yes.
That one's so cool.
Totally. And the people love it. It's really fun too to like
that seems like a fun one,
with like all the people that are there. It's always a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And so that I do recommend for me to be there a little bit longer for reception because it requires a lot of photos.
Yeah, it's like a million.
Yes.
Yeah. I've actually looked at that before and like thought, there's like a million photos in that.
Yeah, it's totally. So if you have something like that, like that's something we would talk about in your pre-wedding survey and call and be like, you know, that if this TikTok is a priority for you, then like I recommend, you know, me staying until X time. But typically you don't need like that much dancing content. Yeah. Like I feel like an hour.
Is plenty.
That's how I feel. I'm like, once I got an hour, I'm like, yo, you don't need me here.
Yeah. Like really everyone's kind of starting
unless
to go
you just
downhill.
want like it's like unless you want like blackmail footage, you know, people just doing some really stupid stuff, then sure. But most people don't want that in the highlight video. Totally. They usually want to keep that there, you know.
I had a crazy wedding on Saturday. I won't get into all the details.
We'll save it for another episode.
But everyone was very drunk, and the bride was pretty drunk, and she was barefoot dancing, and it was the last dance, and somebody with heels like stomped on her foot, broke her toe, but it was like a bloodbath. Was the biggest issue.
No.
Was it like a stiletto? Like
I don't even know what kind of heel. I mean, I don't know. It was enough, and also she was drinking a lot, so it's like your blood's thin, so it was just like.
All right, so PSA to reception party goers: wear shoes or don't wear shoes.
It was such a last dance. Can you imagine? It's like supposed to be this like moment,
and just stop, crunch blood.
Yeah, and she's like crying like on a table. It was horrible.
That guest must have felt
sorry,
so
Maddie.
bad.
I would have.
Maddie, I love you.
It
was a bad end to your day, babe. I still talk to her. It was best day ever.
It was memorable.
No, and you know what? Literally, I talked to her the next day, and she was like, "My toe was broken, but it's fine."
Yeah.
Best day ever. Like that is good to remember. Like crazy shit will happen, but yeah, that was a sidebar. But it made me think of it of like if the content creator had been there,
dude, that's crazy.
To be like zooming
if
in,
I was there,
like gushing blood.
Dude, imagine like on a 4K camera, just like blood gushing out of a toe.
We got like a bus tub to like put her foot in because it was like bleeding
and
so much.
All the ice, and then the ice is bloody. Oh god,
it was great.
Like a horror movie at this wedding.
Yeah. It was great. It was great.
No, she's still smiling. She's like, "Fuck! Oh well."
Yeah, it was so funny. The next day, she's like, "My toe's broken, but it was still the best day ever."
She's gonna tell her grandkids.
Shit happened.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No one has that story.
Yeah.
No one has that story.
That's so funny.
That's honestly iconic.
Yeah, it was iconic. Are there any other like trends, or are there things that like you want to do, like that client? You're like, can we do this?
So. I mean, again, I will say, like, I feel like mainly what I do is, like, the unposed candid stuff. But there's a couple TikToks I've seen that I think are so good. Like, have you guys seen the first drink, last drink?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've been waiting for one of my couples to want to do
that. Oh, that would have been a good one for Saturday.
Real, though.
Really good one, because people were...
Turned up?
Yeah, they were turned.
Oh,
yes,
man.
I think that's always so funny. I think that, like, those kinds of, like it's still kind of posed, but it's like still authentic with like just whatever's happening with your guests. Like obviously I'm there like asking them a question of like, you know, first drink, last drink, but like it's them like in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like the post content that I love.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing I always
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That would be fun. I love it. Well, that's just so fascinating.
Oh yeah. Is there anything that you would want to like tell couples that are booking you, things that they wouldn't know to ask, or things that you would want them to know of like, hey, this is who I am, or like, if you want this, I'm perfect for you?
Yeah, I think first I would say that
you can look at that camera right there. That was yours.
Oh, is this her pitch?
This is her pitch
my
right
God.
here. Yeah. Give us the pitch.
I think I would say that there's kind of a misconception that anyone and their mother can shoot wedding content, and I think that it's really important to find someone who aligns with your vision and who can really like capture you and your new spouse authentically. And so that is really, I think finding someone who really aligns with that and like wants to just be there for your day and like make it, the most authentic experience is really important.
I lied. Your camera totally died.
Oh my God, it's just going to look like she's staring off into the distance.
Okay, so in my defense, it was totally recording probably up until maybe 2 minutes ago.
That's okay. There's other angles. Yeah. Don't worry.
There are other angles.
She's like,
I looked at it, I was like,
we have to start over.
We have to do the whole thing over.
Oh my God, no, that's okay. No, that was good. I like it though. Okay, so where can our listeners and viewers find you? Plug all your channels.
Yes, so they can find me at Cupid Content Co. That's my social media handle. My website is www.cupidcontentco.com. And yeah, I'm booking up pretty quickly for 2024. I'm going to be opening up 2025 bookings at the start of next year.
That's so crazy.
Whoa. You better, okay, double your prices. Actually, wait, that goes into one last question I have. I don't know the market value because I think this idea of a content creator is new to the market.
Totally.
So what would you say would be like a good price or range even of like a new content creator and how much they should be charging? And then we'll call it a luxury experience. They know what they're doing, how, they've got the experience. How much what's that range look like to cost?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question because I feel like obviously wedding content creation is so new that even wedding content creators
don't know how to charge.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
And all vendor categories range so much.
So much. Yeah. You really, it's like any wedding vendor, there's going to be people who are just starting out and they're going to charge you $300 for 8 hours. Yeah. And then there's going to be people who are serving that more luxury market who are charging, maybe they're charging $3,000-$4,000 for wedding content for like an 8 or 10 hour day. So I think there's a big range, but I do think it's the kind of thing where it's really important for new wedding content creators not to be severely undercharging because there is so much time that goes into, obviously on a wedding day, of course, but afterwards going through all the content, editing, and the quick turnaround time of delivering everything within 24 hours is very intense. And so I think that not devaluing that work is really, really important.
Yeah.
So I would, say for couples, definitely budget anywhere from $1,000 to, $3,000 or $4,000+. Obviously, there's going to be a really big range in that, but I think that that's kind of.
Hera wanted to say
There's a cat in case anyone. We normally keep that door closed. Sorry.
Hera agreed to $4,000.
Things have gone off the rails here this last part of the podcast. Jesus. Work from home life.
Yeah,
Hera
seriously.
has thoughts.
Yeah. She's like, that's fucking expensive.
$4,000. What the hell?
No, but I do think that that's good for people to realize this isn't someone you're bringing in for $500. Like, this is a proper vendor that you're paying to do like a proper job.
Yes. And I think it can't, again, there are going to be wedding content creators who maybe they are charging $500, but I think it's really important to know with anything in the wedding industry, but with wedding content creation specifically, you are going to get what you pay for. And, maybe those people are just starting out. Maybe they don't really know how to work with your media team. Maybe they do, and maybe they're just really undercharging.
Yeah.
But I think those are really important things to vet and ask, if they're charging that little, ask them why, to make sure that they are going to provide a good experience for you and be able to work with your vendors.
It does take so much time. Anyone who's ever tried to put together a reel.
Anything. Literally any kind of reel.
As a non-social media person.
Pause the video, make a reel yourself. See how long it takes.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
And make it good.
Yeah, and make it actually
make it good. Yeah, people actually want to watch that
some
shit.
Some janky ass reel.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
No, that sounds good.
Helpful. Thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys.
We appreciate your time.
Fun.
Yes, and reach out to Ari, Cupid Content Co. for all of your content needs. Apparently, she's booking out faster than we are. So.
I was like, shit, I got like 6 weddings next year. What?
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
See you next Tuesday.
Peace.
That's fine.